Welcome to the podcast here at catholicadventurer.substack.com. Thank you very much for joining me. Today I'm talking a little bit about fears and anxieties of both the mind and the heart that are experienced by Catholic converts, people exploring coming into the faith, people interested in returning to the faith, Catholic reverts and the like, but also things experienced, emotions and thoughts experienced by practicing Catholics, which is probably most of you listening to this. And again, thank you for joining me. Throughout my history on this quote-unquote Catholic adventure, I have come into contact with a lot of Catholic converts and reverts, people returning to the faith and exploring the faith. Something I find they all have in common is fear. There is hope, but it's also fear. Fear of what they might lose by saying yes to faith and to God. Fear of the weight, the gravity, the seriousness of saying yes to God. But that fear is mostly an illusion. Many reverts or converts may already be baptized Catholics or Christians, but they haven't practiced their faith for a very long time. So their yes is not just a yes to the Catholic religion, the Catholic faith, also a yes to God. And the fear that they face isn't only saying no to a lifestyle they enjoy or to things in their lifestyle that they enjoy. It's also the fear of the yes, saying yes to the true faith, saying yes to God. I've seen a lot of potential converts come and go. They come and go forward, or they come and go elsewhere, meaning they go back to where they came from, their former ways of living and so on. And something that is common to all of them is this fork in the road that they come to, where they're afraid of surrendering their old lives and embracing a new one. The fear gets so intense that oftentimes they go no further. This message is for people in that situation. I hope that you will share this with someone who can benefit from it. But I think those of you who are practicing already, you will get something out of this too. My message is very, very simple. The fear is an illusion. It's not real. There are real things in it, but it is not real. As with any illusion, there are real things in it, but it is not real. It's an illusion. Your fear is an illusion. It is not real. It's an illusion spun by the devil. He knows what you like. He knows what you're afraid of. And he amplifies and magnifies the things that you're afraid of. And he also amplifies your love for the things that you think you'll have to surrender. What things would you have to surrender? For some people, it's, as I said, things in their lifestyle. It's not just, the freewheeling sexuality. For some it is. But it isn't just that. For some people, it might be their career, depending what their career is. It might be their love of secular music. It might be other aspects and dimensions of art and culture. It might be giving up certain friends and certain social circles or social activities and so on. It isn't always, in fact, in my experience, it often isn't the big things that they're afraid to surrender. It's the little things that are most intertwined with our hearts or into our lives. It isn't usually just the big things. It's the small things that are hardest to surrender or that they most fear surrendering. But it's an illusion. The weight of the cross of the yes is a truth, and it's an illusion. Let me talk for a moment about the things that a faithful person, a person coming to faith, would have to surrender. Yes, there are things in some people's lifestyles that they will have to surrender. St. Augustine is the perfect example. He once famously said, "Lord, make me chaste, but not yet." Freewheeling sexuality was very hard for Augustine to surrender. He was a party animal. He was a ladies' man. In fact, he would put most people to shame with his party animal I guess, lifestyle and his womanizing lifestyle. He would put most modern people to shame. And he feared giving that up. So there are going to be some things that you will just have to give up because we were not made for sin. You have to give that up anyway, whether you believe in God or not, whether you practice an Abrahamic religion or not. You should give those things up anyway because they are not in accord with your nature. Because whether a person believes in God or not, God has made them, and his image is in them. They are made in his image. And sin is not in the I don't have a good word for it, the original nature of man. It's in our fallen nature, but it's not how we were designed. It's not what was intended for us. It is contrary to our nature. So you should give those things up anyway. Giving them up will be near impossible without the grace of God. But you should give them up with or without God anyway. You won't do it without God, but you should. You should at least try. The point is, those sinful things that you have to give up have no place in your very being anyway. But then there are other things, art and culture, social circles, certain people who form your social circle, certain activities within your social environment, surrounding your social environment, and so on. There may be some things that can simply be adjusted, and there are some things that may have to change. But the idea that you will have to radically change every thread and fiber of your life, that is not true. That is not true. That is a lie. The idea that, for instance, you can only have Catholic friends, well, that would be the ideal, but it isn't necessary. It would be ideal because then you will always feel like you fit in. It would be ideal, but it's not necessary. Giving up certain activities that aren't themselves wrong, but they may be sinful, that might be part of the formula. Depending on what activities you do, what movies you watch. For instance, you might be a horror movie buff, and I mean a real fanatic, not just someone who enjoys them, but you really love horror movies. You might fear having to give those up. Well, might be a good idea to give those up. Might not be necessary straight out the gate. Might not be necessary. It depends on how much sex and violence is in them. I mean, you really do have to guard your eyes. You have to really have custody of the senses. There will be some things that you have to say no to, and then there are going to be some things that over time you will just want to say no to. There are certain songs that I'm a big music fan. There are certain songs that I just cannot listen to. I just can't. Even though I love the songs. Even though I love the song, once it clicked what the song was about, I said, and there are a few songs like this, I said, I can never listen to this song again because the message is awful to me. The message disgusts me, even though I really love the song. It's hard giving up a thing that you love, but not when you love truth more than you love the thing that you're giving up. I'm sorry, the words in this song are just disgusting, and I just cannot be entertained by any song with lyrics like that. I wasn't forced to give that up. I chose to give that up because I love truth more than I love the song. I'm a big movie fanatic. I wouldn't say I'm a horror movie buff, but growing up, I really loved them. I can't remember the last time I watched a horror movie. Not because I felt compelled by my faith, though I'm sure some might argue, well, a Catholic really ought never to watch those movies. I don't know that that's true, maybe for some of them, but not as a rule. But I never felt compelled by my faith to give up horror movies. I just chose to stop watching them. Because the more I fall in love with God, and boy, do I have a long way to go to really love God as I want to. But the more I fall in love with God, the more the violence and substance of horror movies just bugs me. And the more I fall in love with God, the more I fall in love with the works of his hands, especially in the human person. And it just bugs me watching these awful things happening to the people in horror movies. It just bugs me. I chose to give those up. I wasn't forced to. I wasn't compelled to. I chose to. You will find as you grow in the faith, there are going to be things that maybe now you're afraid of giving up, but there are going to be things that you're going to choose to give up for love of God and for love of truth. Sometimes people who are new to conversion or to the faith experience, they think of holiness in terms of a cassock, a surplice, a big heavy crucifix around your neck, and walking around with your hands folded in prayer. Well, that's not real. That's not real. Holiness, I can talk an hour about what holiness is. Holiness, I'm going to make it very simple. Holiness expands and magnifies who you really are. It expands and magnifies everything that's good in you and good about you, and it prunes and kills, frankly, things about you that really aren't good, things that really have to go away. But it enhances things that are good about you, even things that you think have nothing to do with religion at all. If you enjoy cooking, believe it or not, the holier you are, the more you're going to love cooking and eating. You're going to see things in the process, in the enterprise, in the experience that you never saw before, connections that you never made before, the holier you are. The holier you are, the more real you are, the more true to your human nature you are, the more connected and in touch with reality you are. And so the more holy you are, the more real you are, and you feel it. You begin to experience it. Holiness expands and magnifies everything that's good about you. Everything that you love that's good, you will love even more and even more deeply, the holier you are. And then we come to the fear of the yes. Yes to religion. Yes to God. That can be very scary for people who are not experienced. And it's especially scary because the devil makes it seem scarier than it actually is. And we're going to get to that component in a second. When a man and a woman get married, they say those two famous words, I do. And when a man says I do to a woman, he is also saying I don't. Because his I do to that woman is an I don't to every other woman in the world, every other woman in his life, every other woman he has ever said yes to before. His yes to his wife is a no to everyone else. And why? Why does he say no to everyone else? For love of his wife, who he says yes to. A yes to one thing is a no to everything else. And I guess, conversely, to say no to everything else leaves room to say yes to something good. Don't fear the yes to God. Don't fear it. Don't fear it. Especially if you're hearing this and you're a married person. You know what it's like to say yes to a woman and to say no to every other woman. Or, of course, a man is going to say it that way, right? If you're a woman, you know what it's like to say yes to a man and to say no to every other man. Saying yes to God and saying yes to the faith is the same thing. Don't think about all the things that you're not going to have, because most of those things, that's just an illusion anyway. Oh, all of the things I won't be able to have, most of that is an illusion anyway. Oh, if I go on this diet, I won't be able to eat cookies. Well, did you like cookies before? On occasion, I did. Okay, so then you didn't really like them. Oh, if I go on this diet, I will never be able to eat brisket at Granny's again. Well, how often did you do that? Oh, one Christmas every 20 years. Okay. The things that you think you love so much, I'm exaggerating, but the things that you think you love so much, you don't really love them as much as you think, especially if they're sinful things. We are so convinced that we love our sins, and really we don't love them near as much as we think. We really, really do. There are some sins that we love more than we realize, but most of them, we don't love them as much as we think. I'll tell you a little story about myself. I used to find it so hard to fast. I was really unwilling to do it. I mean, if I had to, I had to, right? For instance, Lent. But doing it on my own, I was so unwilling. And if I ever got myself to a point where I would just do it for the day, oh boy, did I suffer. Oh man, did I suffer. Which I guess is the point. But let me tell you, a few years ago, I started the ketogenic diet, keto. And keto is a very restrictive diet, especially when you're starting out. You have to be really, really rigid about everything that you put in your mouth, okay? You want to talk about fasting? For at least the first 3 weeks, I mean, my diet was so restrictive. I mean, that was like the worst kind of fasting. But you know what the difference was? You know why I was so successful going on keto, and I remain on keto today? You know why I was so successful? Because my heart was in it. I really wanted to do it. My attitude was different. A week before I started keto, I could barely fast for a day. And what do I mean by fasting? I mean, no snacking. I had kind of a rubric for myself. I think I did no snacking. I think I skipped breakfast. I think I might have had a teeny tiny lunch, and then I had a dinner with no meat, I think was how I used to do fasting. My diet on keto was more restrictive than that. So a week before keto, I couldn't bring myself to fast for a day. Once I decided I was going on keto and I was going to make it work, oh boy, I was suddenly fasting each and every day. I would wake up in the morning, I'd do my exercises or whatever, and I wouldn't eat. I would have coffee, which just a week before, that was a big fat sacrifice. Suddenly I was on keto and I was fasting like a monster with super success because my attitude was different, because I really wanted to make keto work. It's been 3 or 4 years, I'm still on keto, and it's like I'm not even dieting. Why? Because the nature of my eating has changed. You can wave a plate of French fries in front of me all day long. I have zero interest in them. Zero. None. I still miss M&Ms. They're not the temptation they used to be, not even close. I miss them, but I don't really desire them. Saying yes to God is the same thing. We don't love our sins near as much as we think, and I didn't love my pre-keto eating habits near as much as I thought. I only thought I loved them as much as I thought that I did. I didn't realize how tiresome my eating habits were until I stopped them. It's tiresome to eat a whole sleeve of Ritz crackers and to still be hungry. It's tiresome when you intend to eat only 5 of them and you finish off the whole sleeve and you still want more. And the only reason you don't eat more is because you're embarrassed that you ate the whole sleeve. Tiresome. I didn't realize how tiresome my old eating habits were until I stopped them. I didn't love my old eating habits anywhere near as much as I thought. Didn't know it until I said no to it. You're going to find the same thing. You don't love your sins near as much as you think, and then there are some that you love more than you realize. God will reveal that to you. But you don't love your sinful lifestyle near as much as you think. My friends, you are so exhausted by it. You are so exhausted by it, and you will not know it until you finally say no to it. But the devil doesn't want you to know that. He wants you to think that you're giving up your one true love, your old lifestyle. And frankly, lots and lots of things in your old lifestyle you won't have to give up. They'll be made better if they're good. They will be diminished and pruned if they're bad, just through your own development and growth and holiness. And saying yes to God is saying yes to the better thing. Not to a lesser thing, but to a better thing. Finally, and this is going way longer than I wanted it to, I'm very sorry. The final thing I want to say is why this game of illusions? The illusion that what you're giving up is so valuable. The illusion that what you're saying yes to it's such a frightening yes. It's such a scary and intimidating yes. The truth is, the no and the yes, they are serious. They are serious. But I have news for you. You're serious too. You're serious too. To a Little League player, Major League Baseball is serious. But to a Major League Baseball player, well, the player is serious too. So it's not as serious to him as it is to the Little League player. You're more serious than you realize. The yes and the no, yeah, they're serious, and so take them seriously. But you're serious too. The devil just makes you think that you're small. Having said that, why this game of illusions? I'll tell you why. When you aren't pursuing God, and when you are not pursuing truth, when you are not pursuing religion, when you are living a life that's sinful, self-destructive, the devil leaves you alone because you're not a threat to him. You're already exactly where he wants you to be. So he lets you stay there. As soon as you make the decision to say yes to God, and as soon as you come to the conclusion that you need to change your life and give yourself to Jesus, then you wake him up. Not Jesus, the devil. You wake the devil up. And now he's watching, and he's working against you. And he works against you with such hostility. I mean, it's not even that he just vexes you. He's really, really on you. He's working every trick in the book, and he's got a playbook that he's been writing for millennia. And he's working every trick in the book. Well, why? It's just you. Why would this great angelic mind, the devil is still an angel, he's just a fallen angel. Why would this tremendous angelic mind waste his time on me? Aha, because you're more serious than you realize. You are more important than you realize. You are more treasured and more valuable than you realize. And here is the home run of it. The devil works so hard to keep you from making the decision of saying that yes to God. He works so hard because you returning to God shames him, the devil. Saying yes to God and saying yes to the Catholic faith puts you on course to achieve your destiny. It's not just one decision over another. It is nothing less than you choosing your destiny. Not one destiny out of many. Your one destiny. You are choosing your one destiny. And it's the very thing the devil does not want you to have. Because the devil has lost what you are on the road to gain. He's lost it forever. And he is mad over it forever. You know, when you get angry, think of the angriest you've ever been in your life. And if you've never been that angry, then imagine it. Imagine what would make you the most furious. Well, you know that however much anger you've experienced, you know that there's a point, and it lasts about a split second when you're the angriest, and it immediately starts to decline. It immediately starts to cool down. It may not cool down from 100 to 0 within seconds. It may take minutes, it may take hours, but it gradually starts to decline, right? But you know there's that one high point where you have exploded and your anger is at the tippy top. And it's only there for maybe a second before it gradually starts to decline. Okay, that point where it's at its highest, right, where it's at the height of its potential, your anger. Imagine being there forever. Imagine your anger being there at its height forever. There is no gradual decline. There's no decline at all. It's there forever. Imagine your anger there at its highest point in that split second, there forever. Multiply that by 100 and you begin to have an idea of the nature of Satan himself. And for you to choose your destiny, amplifies and magnifies that anger for him. The saints have actually said something like it. The saints have said, for you to grow in holiness, shames and humiliates the devil. It deepens his pain. And God wants it that way. In a sense, God is using you to punish the devil. By choosing yes to God, you are choosing yes to your destiny. And that's serious, serious business. And the devil takes it very, very seriously. You should too. And know that God's taking it seriously also. He's by your side even if you don't feel him there. It's on purpose that for a time you'll sense his presence. You'll perceive his activity in your heart, in your mind, in your life. Calling, beckoning, wooing you to that yes. And then it's gone. Where did you go? Where did you go, God? That's normal. Because then he wants you to choose. He's given you a taste, or he's given you, let's say, a revelation, an interior revelation of what's at stake and what's on offer. And then he removes the bait. There's no more bait. It's left now to your reason. And he wants you to choose without the bait. Without the crutch, he wants you to choose. That is serious business. And you have to choose. The point is, even if you don't perceive his presence or his activity or his grace, even if you can't perceive it, even if you can't feel it, it's there. It's at work. Don't give up and don't panic. Don't freak out. The absence of peace comes from the devil. It does not come from God. Don't freak out and don't panic. Be at peace and choose your destiny. Because at the end of this adventure, it's not just a nice view at the top of a mountain peak. It's sainthood and glory. It's an adventure, my friends. It's truly an adventure. Highs and lows, as I say. It's awesome. It's awesome. Thank you for listening to this. Thank you for subscribing to my Substack. If you are not a subscriber, shame on you. Check your local parish listings for the next confession session, and you can rectify that as part of your penance. You can click subscribe right now to this, to my Substack. You will be informed of every article, essay, and podcast that I produce without the interference of the social media middleman. I feel like I should have something clever to throw in here, but I'm really not that clever. Thank you for taking the time. Please say a prayer for me and for my family. May God bless you and be with you all. Bye-bye.